Hey guys, before we get started tonight, I just want to take a quick second and just let everybody know that we had some strange stuff happen during this recording. So much so that we actually had to stop the recording a little bit early. But give this a listen, and I hope everybody lets me know what they think. But I'll explain more about what happened toward the end. But for now, let's get at it. Thanks.
In the paranormal war room, the legends arise. We're diving deep down where the truth never lies. Diving deep down where the truth never lies. Unravel the mysteries, let the stories unfold. This beat, these tales are daring and bold.
Okay, Dustin and Rachelle, how you guys doing tonight?
Hey, we're doing good. How are you?
Yep, pretty good.
Man, I'm glad you guys decided to come on here and be the first guest on the Paranormal War Room, man. I really appreciate you
feel-
guys coming on.
Yeah, I feel honored to be the first guest, or us to be the first guest. That's pretty special.
Awesome. Well, guys, we'll just get right into it. Dustin, you tell me at work, I work with Dustin, and you tell me at work you've got all these, paranormal experiences happen to you, man. So I'll just turn the show over to you, buddy. Just go ahead and let's get into it, man. Go for it.
Well, growing up, my wife knows my grandma lives in the big old farmhouse, and upstairs there's all kinds of activity in this house, and you'd hear footsteps running through the attic on both sides of this bedroom. None of my siblings wanted to sleep up there. My dad didn't want to sleep up there when he was young. So the big main bedroom that I spent most of my time in my grandma's house, nobody wanted to be in it. And you would get to the top of the steps and you knew you wasn't alone. So, I mentioned the footsteps. So when you come up the top of the steps and go into the bedroom, the attic on the right side had a floor in, but you just didn't hear footsteps on that side. You heard footsteps on the left side of the bedroom too. But when you opened them attic doors, they never finished it. There was no floor over there, but you could still hear footsteps and boots running through the left side of the attic, and there was no floor.
Wow.
The attic door that went into the closet would open on its own. Me and my brother actually put flour all in the attic floor to see if we could see footsteps. And the next morning we went and rushed to the attic to see it, and it was swept over into the corner. All of it.
Now, who do you think, is it possible somebody could have went up there and swept it up, or do you think it was something else that done that?
I don't know if anybody would have went up there and swept it. If they would have did, they'd have had to took a broom right beside the bed, because I was sleeping, on the way to the attic, and my brother's bed was turned sideways right at the closet door. You had to go into the closet, and then the attic door was inside of the closet.
Yeah, that's how they used to build a lot of those. That's how they used to build a lot of those old houses. Yeah. I wonder, had anything ever happened in the house that you think might have caused that or anything like that?
Well, when Granddaddy, they actually built the house, the Cherokee Indians tried to protest it and the farm because it was supposedly built on Indian territory. We used to find arrowheads all over that farm.
No, I'm pretty sure it came out that it was built on or near of an Indian burial ground.
Yeah, but I mean, there was arrowheads everywhere on that farm. Plus, it was right next to Limestone, Tennessee, and there's a bunch of water. So anytime you have limestone and a river and water running under the ground, it tends to amplify activity.
Exactly. Anytime you go throwing in a Native American, type of situation, you're going to have almost always paranormal activity going on there, because, there's no telling the history of that place. They could have been a battle fought there. There, that could have been tribal land at some point. You just never know, man.
So that's not the only thing. Like, I would be laying in bed, and or when I worked third shift, I'd come in that morning, and Mama would be leaving to go to town, and I'd get laid down, and you would hear something holler Dustin, and it would sound just like Mamaw. And I'd get up and go downstairs to help her carry whatever it was that she wanted, and nobody would be down there. And then I'd go back upstairs and lay down and go to
How
sleep.
old were you when this was going on?
Gosh, I was 8th grade into high school.
So it wasn't like you were a very young kid.
No,
man.
I wasn't real young.
You were
No.
coming into those teenage years, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. So you would wake up and the rocking chair, great granddaddy's rocking chair that was in the room would be turned from across the room, and it would pull itself up to the edge of the bed, and it would be rocking like it was sitting there watching you sleep.
Wow. Now, see, if something like that would have happened to me, that's when I'm out the door. You know?
I was so used to it, I didn't pay any attention. I mean, you know, I just shook it off and would go on. But you would feel, you'd be sitting on the bed or laying on the bed, and you could actually feel like somebody sitting down on the other side of the bed
Wow.
when it would amp.
Wow, that's something else, man. I don't know how anybody as a child, you know, could sleep by themselves with stuff like that going on.
Like I said, I just got so used to it. And my siblings wouldn't go up there. My little brother was asleep up there one day, and he come flying down the steps crying because he said some lady in black grabbed him and held him down on the bed and would not let him up.
Yeah,
Really?
that wasn't when he was small, though. That
No,
was when he was
No,
grown.
he was grown.
Like, his brother was grown.
So, like, I could stay in the room, and it was just little stuff, footsteps, you know, the rocking chair rocking. But if anybody else was in that room, it was like they tormented
Yeah.
whoever else was in that bedroom.
Now, did you ever ask your grandma about this or anything?
Oh, she knows. She would say, well, the witch is working today.
She didn't have no
And
theories as to why it would happen or anything like that?
No, it was like that ever since she had been little too.
Wow.
So, and at the very top of the steps, Mamaw had an antique doll on a little table in the hallway up at the top of the steps. And you could walk by there and look up, and that doll be facing to the little bedroom. And 2 seconds later, you'll walk by, and that doll's looking the other way.
Yeah.
Really?
I've seen
that is true.
Sounds like you lived in the Conjuring house, man, you know?
Yeah, I've seen a little girl running around up in the foyer at the top, and you could hear laughing and giggling. But one of the biggest things that kind of scared my mamaw once was we was all downstairs, and I don't know if you was there or not that day, but mamaw had a record player, an antique. It had cassette, everything, had the record on top, big state of the art radio, you know, from the 90s. And it just turned on, blaring the radio station.
Wow.
And nobody wanted to go up there. Guess who got sent upstairs to go fix it? They sent me. And I got up there to go turn that radio off, and it wasn't even plugged into the wall.
No way, man. You serious?
I'm serious as a heart attack.
Man, that is insane, bro.
Like the upstairs of that house was wide open all the time for years. And then it was like you flip the light switch and it just died. Like,
really?
yeah, just all of a sudden.
Now, is this house still in your family, or you guys sold the property now?
No, I wish it was still in the family. I tried because all this happened. I guess that's why I liked ghost hunting and got me started. But I tried to get my grandma, mamaw to let me set up cameras and audio equipment, and she didn't want me to. She knew they was there, but she didn't want to see them.
She knew she had a hornet's nest up there, and she didn't want you stirring it up. That's what it was.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, now, Rachelle, you've been to this house, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
before, go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Well, I was going to say, before we got started, you know, you told me that you had some special gifts, and I was just wondering, you know, as you spent time in the house, did you ever feel anything in there or anything like that?
Yes. I did. That when I first came into the picture, Dustin was 20 and I was 18, and um so when I first started going over there, they would tell me all these stories from when they were growing up, and I mean, I have my own stories and experiences in the house. Dustin's not lying about the doll. It was the weirdest thing. And it was probably like 8-inch tall, little doll with a red, like, overcoat on and a little matching hat,
Yeah, that just sounds
arms and
creepy.
face were made of porcelain. It wasn't like The Conjuring. It wasn't like a Raggedy Ann or anything. It wasn't anything big, but the doll would move on its own, and it would move, like, from when you walked past it was at the top of the stairs, so you could see it from downstairs, and when you walked around past it, like, it would be in one position, and then, 5 minutes later, it might be in a whole different position, or it might be facing forward. I think the weirdest thing I ever saw about the doll was, when it went from turning, it was turned to the side, like its face, to just looking dead straight down the stairs, and I was like, "What in
Yeah,
the world?"
that's
Now
insane.
yeah, so this time frame, though, was when I really was fighting all those gifts, and so I didn't really dig too much into it. In fact, I mean, I have no qualms to tell you back in that time frame, I guess I was exploring things. I had a Ouija board,
Well, there
and,
you go.
yeah, so that's how I figured out my gifts. It was shortly after that that I gave it up and realized how bad it was. But most people play with those things thinking it's either a game or it's really cool and don't realize kind of the doors that it opens. And so I had actually taken the board over to the house at one point. It was after Daniel, his brother had that experience with this, woman that held him down, and he said that she was dressed, probably in, like, mid 1800s type of dress, like a black dress. I think he said it might have had, like, a white lace, neck and, some frills, but, said she had dark hair and kinda black eyes and, like, just ended up, like, screaming in his face, holding him down, and that's how he woke up. And he said he was paralyzed for a couple minutes, and then finally, I think he said he started praying or something like that, and then he was able to get up and run, to the rest of the house and tell him what happened. But after that, I brought the board over and, um, I think it was probably a few months after that that things kinda calmed down, maybe even sooner than that. After we actually had conversations and I asked him to leave everybody alone because even our oldest son at that point had experiences in the house and his mama had this in the entranceway between the living room and the dining room. She had a seashell, almost like a wind chime, except it just twirled instead of shook.
Yeah.
And Caleb came running around, our oldest came running around. He was probably 2 or 3 at that point, and he was like white as a ghost and he was pointing upstairs and he had seen something. And at that time, this was before the Ouija board experience got brought in, but at that time, the seashell twirly thing had started going in like major circles and it wouldn't stop. And so everybody that was like the height of activity, kind of like whatever was there. I believe it to be a woman, but it was like she was kinda trapped there, and she felt like she was defending her space, kinda like that movie, I think it's called The Others with Nicole Kidman, where spirits don't realize that they've passed, and so they're
Right,
still
yeah.
defending their property. Um, that movie was a twister at the end, but something like that, I feel like was kinda what was going on. It was, like, in defense of the house and some of the people in it type deal. Um, but it wasn't long after the whole Ouija board when we actually had
That
conversations that it stopped.
there was a lot more than just that one
Yeah.
woman. But see, right there where the Nolichucky River is, the Indians named that river, and it was called the River of Death. But there was all kinds of settlements up and down along that river, and even during the Civil War, troops would follow the river up and through there, right where the farm was, and right by the house. So there was, and even further down towards Mossine was Battle of Blue Springs. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
No.
And all along Green County, but there was a bunch of little mini Civil War fights all up around through there. And in some of the places on the farm, you can see the old wagon trail and the roads that's still there from way back in the day, from where, horse and buggy out and around some of the ridges out
Okay.
that way.
So all this is taking place, up in Greene County, Tennessee. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Awesome. Yeah, I'd say there's a lot of history as far as Civil War and as well as Native American history up there.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
Yeah. When you got a town right beside Chucky, it's called Limestone, and
Mhm.
there is limestone everywhere
Which
up that way.
I'm not sure if you know this, you may already know this, Corky, but limestone actually encourages and amplifies poltergeist activity.
yeah,
So,
I've heard that before. I have that and water and stuff like that, right?
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah,
Now,
running water.
yeah.
Rochelle, you told me that you consider yourself a psychic medium. Is that how you put it, or do you put it a different way?
I just call myself a medium. I do have a lot of psychic abilities, but I don't ever call myself a psychic because when I read for people, that term just gives them like this inkling that I should absolutely know everything, and they actually take what I say as gold,
Right.
so I don't put that kind of pressure on them or me. Technically, a lot of people do go by psychic mediums just because we tend to have psychic abilities just to know things. And in this area, like I told you before, I've been doing readings professionally, like for the public, for about 4 years now. The Ouija board was my inkling when I was about 16. Yeah, about 16, maybe a little earlier than that. I might have still been 15, but anyway, I had a friend pass away, and all my friends were like, "Oh, this is how we could say goodbye." So I got one. And you're normally not supposed to be able to move the planchette, by yourself. Your own energy. That's why you're supposed to have two or more players.
Yeah.
It works off spiritual energy. The planchette does, and so that's why it freaks people out because you can feel the pull. Um, and so I had. It took me about 3 or 4 days to get it to say anything. Um, the spirit on the other side presented as if it were my friend. Chastity that had passed away. And so I spent what was it, Dustin? Probably like on and off for a couple of years talking to this thing, right? And then when he and I got together, um, he treated it almost like a parlor trick. Like his friends loved it, and it got to the point where I was kind of doubtful about it because it was like cussing his friends and stuff whenever I was out of the room, and it would start to spell out my name if I wasn't touching it because at one point I had stopped messing with it, and I was like, if you want to mess with it, you still can, but it caused things to happen in my house. Like TVs turning on by themselves and just a feeling of dread or like I was missing something, like I wasn't getting the full picture here, like, I felt like it might be dishonest or, the cuss words were a lot for me.
Well, she wasn't on it one day, and I can't remember who was with it, but it kept spelling her name,
Yeah,
and I told it to shut up. And
it
when the
flew off,
coffee
didn't
when
it?
the coffee cup
Oh, yeah.
flew across the kitchen and into the living room and shattered, we put it up and never got it back out.
Well, no, there were a
Golly
couple
butt.
times that after that, yeah, but in the meantime, so in the space of time when I wasn't playing it anymore and everybody else was still messing with it, on like a weekly basis kind of thing for fun, it would spell out my name, but it got to the point where I knew what the board was saying like from 2 or 3 rooms away. And so I'd come back in the room and they're like, "You're never gonna believe what it said." And I'd be like, "I know what it said." And
Really?
I could not explain how that happened, right? So, um, it and I also started to know things myself. Like, it's almost like it triggered or opened a door in myself. And so for a long time, I was scared because it wasn't like I was hearing things audibly like I was nutso. It was like I just knew or was hearing them like a memory in my brain.
Exactly.
And so it kind of freaked me out. I was raised Christian, still believe in God, but there for a while, during that phase, there was probably a little dabbling in some some witchcraft, technically, because it wasn't my intention, but I think that that's really what it was at that point. Um, and so I kind of got away from my faith, um, and then for the next probably 12 years or so, I was able to contain it, put a block on it, not really have much trouble. And then all of a sudden, one day, we were coaching football. So I think Caleb was around 7. One day I just woke up and I was like, I can't stop it today. It was like 3 or 4 people who had passed, one being Dustin's grandfather, um, and one was completely random, right? Like there was this parent on our football team. I was the team mom, and I didn't know her very well at all. And I knew whose family member it was. I knew what the message was, and I freaked out. You can ask Dustin because the whole way to practice, he knew at that point, that I had been blocking it, and I told him, I said, I just can't stop it today. So I gave him the messages from his grandfather and thought it would stop, and that eased a little bit. But it was almost like an anxiety, like I just could not stop until I got this out, right? So,
Right.
and it was all overnight. It was so weird. And so I went to the football field. We were on our way to practice that day, and I was like, I'm gonna sound like a freaking insane person. And I pulled her aside and I said, listen, I know you don't really know me like that, but your sister is coming through. I know something, really bad happened to her. She died in a difficult way. And I gave her the messages. And still to this day, like I can recall that those messages are, she's holding like two what appeared to be babies. All I could see were blankets and they were colored. And so, um, and it wasn't like outside my body that I was seeing these things. It was like a memory again. And so, I really had nothing to go on. I didn't know this girl. I didn't know her sister. I just knew that it was her sister, and I knew what the message was supposed to be, and it was supposed to be that she's okay and that she had uh her baby and Cassie's baby, I think. And one was a boy, one was a girl, and I told her all this and I said, "Listen, the third one was another member on our football team, and it seems like I'm kind of like a lighthouse. Does that make sense? So the lighthouse and the light bulb turned on, and then it was really hard to get it turned off. Are you still there?
Oh,
Okay.
where'd you
Just
go?
making sure. We
Well,
lost
it
you.
it just disconnected. I don't know why it done that. Let's
I think
man,
it's still showing that it's recording though.
what's your timer say up there? I can cut all this out, so don't worry about it.
22:10.
See, it's
22.
got me starting it. I'm like 15 seconds now. I don't
Oh,
know what
wow.
happened there.
Well, I mean, it might have jumped you back in.
Yeah.
Well, we'll roll with it. Hopefully it'll work out. We'll see. If not, we'll just do it again one of these days.
That kind of stuff makes me so nervous because it just happens. Anyway, we're gonna move
So
right along.
you were talking about the two. She was holding 2 babies. Just kicking
Yeah,
off
she
right
was
there.
holding 2 babies. One was a boy, one was a girl, and I was telling the girl on the team, I was like, I know you don't know me from Adam or Eve, and I'm sorry, I need to tell you something, if you're willing to hear it. And she was like, okay, let me hear it. And so I told her all this, and she like puts her hands over her mouth and is like, "Oh my God, there's no way in the world you could ever know that stuff. Like, I've never told anybody that I had a miscarriage. I've never told anybody that I think she was pregnant when she died. Like she had nobody ever knew. And the sister wasn't even like, she didn't pass around that town. Like she passed in a whole nother state. Right. And I was able to tell her like what time, like I saw a clock kind of stop. Did it kick him off again?
Yep. Now he's back.
Yeah, I wonder what's going on here, Rachelle.
I
Well,
can't explain it.
you know as well as I do when you start talking about this stuff, weird stuff starts happening.
Yeah.
All
It
right,
puts
let's do that.
Puts it in the air. It's still recording us though.
Yeah.
It's still recording us. It ain't booted us out yet. Corky,
Yeah,
it must be your house.
Uh-oh.
Well, what's weird, dude, is I've got perfect Wi-Fi signal. It's I can tell you guys this. You guys know I do podcast every week. I've never had this happen before.
Yeah.
Never.
So I would I would
Well,
usually, Corky, take that as a signal that there's probably somebody that wants to come through for you
well,
on
don't
your
tell
side.
me.
I'm
Don't
not
tell
going
me
to tell you. I
anything.
told you I don't read people without permission usually.
Yeah,
So, but that's what I would probably
Okay.
take it as.
Okay, you know, so I've done quite a few podcasts with Corky already, but I get that feeling every time we're on a podcast, no matter what we're doing.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
really.
About Corky?
yeah,
Yeah.
like every time I'm talking to him on the podcast, or you know, especially when I can see him with the video, it's like I have a feeling like, and I'm always trying to shut it down.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
Sorry, Corky.
It's all right. You know, Dustin knows my mom passed away last year, and it would break me. So just don't tell
Yeah,
me
yeah,
anything.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah.
But I'm
I
going to say
won't.
this. This is going very good, and I'm afraid this recording is already screwed up.
Yeah.
So
Do
can
you
we
wanna
do
start
this
all over?
again? Well, it's getting late tonight, and I've got to go do some stuff in here because I was going to end this at about 11. But
Okay.
this is going great. But I don't understand what's happening, and I'm kind of freaked out right now.
I know you're freaked out. I'm sorry,
So,
Corky.
well, it's cool. It's cool. But you know, I think I just want to shut it down for the night, if that makes sense. But
Absolutely.
I do want to do this again. But man, I've never had this happen before. I've done podcasts for a year and a half now, and this has never happened before.
Okay, guys, at this point in the recording, we just had to kind of shut things down because I was getting so much interference, you know, on my end. And what you guys really don't hear is the entire recording. Their voices on my end were coming in and out, just like something was trying to really interfere with everything that was going on. So eventually it started actually kicking me in and out of the studio, and it got to the point where we just couldn't record anymore. She did tell me that she thought maybe this was something that was trying to contact me. Of course, I told her, you know, I didn't want to know anything like that, but, you know, sometimes that stuff happens when you're dealing with the paranormal. So we witnessed it right here as we was trying to record this show. Hopefully I can reconnect with Dustin and Rachelle at a future time and finish this podcast. But at the time of the recording, we just decided, hey, it would be best that we just shut everything down and put an end to this particular show right here. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please give us a like and a subscribe and help us grow this channel. This was our first episode, so I hope there's going to be many more to come. Like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye.
The unknown awakens, hear the echoes grow loud. We're diving deep, join the curious crowd. In the paranormal war room, we take flight, bringing the spooky vibes, shadows and light. With every beat, the legends we explore, unleashing the spirits. We're ready for more. Aliens striking down like thunder from the skies. Cryptids lurking near, in the darkness they rise. Paranormal tales that will twist your mind. Tune into the mystery, leave the norm behind. In the war room we fight, with the strange insight, unveiling truths in the paranormal war room. We take flight, bringing the spooky vibes, shadows and light. With every beat, the legends we explore, unleashing the spirits. We're ready for more. So hit that subscribe, don't be left in the dark. Join us in the war, let's make our